I'd like to introduce one of our headline sponsors, Oracle for Startups, and a good friend of mine, and Jason Williamson. Jason is the VP at Oracle for Startups. And if you haven't seen these guys, really go check it out at their website, Oracle for Startups. They do amazing things, right? I've had plenty of conversations with Jason's over the years, and he's been a huge supporter to ours. And he's going to come on and share a little bit about Oracle for Startups. And one of the things he's going to do, which is a great treat for us, is he's been on multiple sides of the table, from a startup founder to an enterprise executive, and I think he's also done a little bit of investing. So he's been on all sides of the table, and he's going to share 5 lessons from a veteran founder and enterprise executive. So I am going to turn it over to Jason to hop in here and give us a little bit of Oracle and talk about the 5 lessons from a veteran founder and enterprise executive. Jason, take it away.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Mark. And let me try. Well, I can't undo myself. I don't know if one of you guys can throw the video on live. Otherwise, you'll just have to hear the soothing voice, my soothing voice. But oh, there we go. Thank you. Not that that's much better, but it's what you get. I greet you from Raleigh, North Carolina, where it is sunny today, and it's been fantastic. And again, thanks, Mark and Keith. It's always a pleasure to interact with you guys, and the service you're giving to the Triangle and to North Carolina is really great, and bringing on such good sponsors and kind of some usual faces that we see. And yeah, I mean, what I'd love to do is just share a couple thoughts. And you know, as I say, free advice is never cheap. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But this has just been some reflections on my experience, as you mentioned, Mark, on both sides of the table, from having been a founder. In fact, I've taken some David Gardner money, as most of us in the Triangle has at some point years ago, to doing that on my own, and then looking at it from the corporate side and the corporate VC side, which is where I am today at Oracle. And so it's actually pretty cool timing too, Mark, because when I get to one of my points, just kind of thinking about how we navigate all this, I just published a Medium article on my conversation, kind of reflecting on a conversation I had with Larry in the past, probably, well, the very beginning of this quarter and then last year, and how that's kind of shaped our reaction to COVID and startups. And it's been really pertinent to this kind of future proofing. So just a real quick word on us. Love for you to check us out. Just come to oracle.com/startup if you just want to learn more. We have everything on there that you can learn, want to see about how you engage with Oracle. And you know, we'd love to spend time with you. And so that's my plug there. But there's like 5. I'll just make really quick points. As I mean, we got a chock full agenda for the day, and there are much more interesting people than me. So I'll go through this pretty quick, but there's 5 things that I think are just something for you to consider and ponder as you're thinking through this. And again, from the startup side, having to take money, having to write checks, and then actually being on the corporate side, engaging with startups that are trying to go through that scale mode, right? Going from I've got a great idea to how do I go big and become an enterprise. And so one of those things that I think is important for you to think about and consider is to prioritize your partnerships. You know, working with corporates can be a growth hack for you. And on the same side, it could also be like a massive time sink. So when you think about corporates and working with them, it's helpful to understand where you fit into their organization, where you fit into their revenue stream, right? Because a corporate is going to work with you for one of 2 reasons. If you're a startup, one, you could be coming in on the CVC side, the corporate venture side, and so that's a definite interest because they want to see your tech, your IP. They might be writing you a check, and there's a lot of possibilities for you there. You could be coming in through their partner program, you know, Oracle or AWS or Google. They all have these partner programs that are that you can come in through a startup program like us or Activate or Google for Startups, something like that. So to work well with them, you kind of have to understand what it is their objective is. And if you can understand what their objective is, then I think you can advance quickly. So for us, for example, we love startups that are targeting enterprises. We love startups that have opportunity to plug into Oracle applications. We love startups that can accelerate growth areas and industries that we really care about. And so we love startups that are fantastic at getting on stage and that can write well and that can speak. And so those are kind of attributes of what we like. And so the most successful startups in our programs, the ones that we've helped get funding, acquired, or accelerated their revenue because of their connections, are the ones that kind of understood what our love language is, for example. And it's going to be entirely different than AWS and entirely different from Google. Not to say those aren't good, they're just different. So prioritize your partnerships, understand what it is that make them tick. The other one is, and this is kind of leaning on the reference I made to the Medium article, is think like a futurist, which is easier said than done. But the thought stream on that is like, it's really important to kind of carve out a chunk of your day or I would say a chunk of your week to think about what's next, right? Execution and discipline execution is like number 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your list. Number 5 is definitely understanding what's next and how you fit into that. So thinking like a futurist, the Medium article kind of talks about how we kind of stumbled onto that, where our program was, we did a big shift to a virtual program, which allowed us to reach more startups faster. And we were like perfectly positioned for COVID, actually. And we experienced ridiculous growth in increasing our portfolio of startups during this time. And so I won't spend a whole lot of time on that. Just go to my LinkedIn page and you can see that Medium article. But it's more about like how to think future wise, and some of the ways that we did that, and actually how Larry was super personally involved in helping me and the team kind of recraft that. And it's a good segue to like one of my favorite points in this is to think differently. A friend of mine says, if you want to reach people who haven't been reached, you have to be willing to do things that haven't been done. Right. And so if you want to be just like everybody else, do what everybody else is doing. So thinking differently is really important. And there's a couple ways that you can apply that. How is your product or service disrupting the space? Sometimes you'll hear the term uniquely different and better. So like, it's okay that you're doing things a certain way like everyone else, but how are you uniquely doing that? And how are you doing that better? How are you hiring better? We've obviously been confronted with a reality of being intentional about diversity and equity disparity. So, from our team's perspective, this was another kind of, whether it was excellent foresight by leadership or I think it's wired in our DNA, is we have like a super diverse team as far as our genders and where we're from and all that stuff. And because of that, we get a great bunch of different ideas that we have a framework for how we duke it out and then come to an answer. And so we're kind of we just think differently by nature. And part of that is because we hire that way. And again, it has to be absolutely balanced with getting the right person for the gig, for the role. So again, side note, especially if you guys are in the hiring mode, this could be a whole new session, but sometimes you'll have like 10 applicants for the job and you want to pick the best one of the 10. Actually, that's the wrong perspective. You want to pick the best person. So if none of those 10 meet your bar, don't hire any of them. It's better to be like behind than a bad hire. And so the fourth point is to kind of think about your technology and future-proofing it. And so what I mean by that is understand the tension and balance between getting product out quickly in a way that it works without hamstringing yourself, whether it's cost, scalability, or functionality. And it's a fine tension that you have to do. It's really tough because, if you're a CTO or you hire a developer, it's kind of a religious war, right? Like your developers and people kind of like, I know this tech, so everything must be built on that or with that. So I think you need to kind of challenge that a little bit and make sure that can you accomplish the goal of building an MVP that works, that's out there, and then not having to like undo stuff. So, for us, that's why we've enjoyed seeing success for people on our app, our platform, because Oracle kind of finally figured out, like, how do we take enterprise class stuff and then push that down to kind of the ground level. I mean, I can tell you some fun stories that probably David and I have done together on sales calls, where you're like, we built stuff quickly for the product that we were doing back, I guess, 20 years ago now. And then a new feature comes out and I have to take that back to the tech team, and we're just not flexible enough to be able to build that without having to redo a bunch of other stuff. Sometimes it was design issues, like that was on me. And then sometimes it was technical issues, like, oh gosh, that can't keep up. So, think about your technology in a fine balance of getting it done and shipped without hamstringing yourself, right? I.e., don't over engineer or you never ship, but be biased for action on that side. The last one,
I just want to hop in real quick, about 30 seconds, just
no problem.
FYI.
This is my last one.
Okay.
So is to find your voice to tell your story. I think as a founder, early stage, you're going to have a story that fits a particular need, whether it's trying to get that funding or get that first customer. Your story and narrative needs to develop and grow for the stage that you're in. So find your voice and evolve with it, and really learn how to read your room. The voice that you use to land the seed fund is not going to be what you do to get the A round. So leverage that, learn that, and it's never the caveat I would add is never too early to think about how you manage PR from that perspective. So I will stop there, tell you, if you want to find me, best way is just hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Jason Williamson, and the face that shows up should look like that one right there. And if you ping me, that's good. Or for the text, jason.williamson@oracle.com is the best way to do it. And Andrea, who's on our marketing team, just chatted some stuff in there where you can actually get a boost and some credits. And that's fantastic. Thanks, Andrea.
Yes, thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it. Listen, really follow what Jason says. He gets to pick the brightest mind in tech, and Larry Ellison, and there's a lot going on with Oracle for Startups. So definitely check out those guys.